Morning. So I thought I'd share a quick personal story with you how some companies can really mess you about and screw up your credit report. Now, I don't rely on my credit report for reasons I'll explain, but if you do, this could be a serious problem for you. And very quickly, we are here on my money channel, so please do subscribe. I am growing all three channels now. I am putting a lot of effort into all three. My main channel for law, my secrets channel for my opinions, and this wealth channel here to help you build wealth without any of the fluff that you might see from other accounts online. I will genuinely tell you how these things are, straight and forward, so I'd be really grateful if you subscribe. Thank you very much. So you may remember, if you followed my main channel, Black Belt Barrister, that I've used a story to support a partner of mine about my previous mobile phone provider, because they messed us about so many times with traveling and internet access and so on. So I used it as a great story to introduce a partner called Saley. This video is not sponsored, but I used it to support Saley. They provide seamless internet access through an app, which I think was really cool. But because I left my previous provider, we had 3 contracts with them, and I cancelled all contracts. I phoned them up. I said, we are moving. This is terrible. It's been terrible for too long. You promised improvements. I've been with you for many years. We gave you a chance. You haven't improved it. In fact, it's got worse in most places that we go to. It's just got worse. So we are leaving. Here's my notice. We are off. I want my pack code to switch my numbers to another provider, which we did. We did move to another provider. And that was that. I told them that was it. We're off. Goodbye. You know, we are done. Now, I then receive an email. Let me pull this up on screen. I receive an email to say your final bill is now ready. Check it out and make a payment. Just log in. But obviously you can see from that there is no amount outstanding. If you look at the amount outstanding there, it says -0 and then a few pence. I'm not going to display that on screen because I don't want anybody to be able to phone them up. You know, anybody nefarious might say, this was the last bill, here's the amount, and try to prove that they're me. Just be mindful of these things. But they said this was the last bill. And so I thought, great, that's it. And a month or so went by, didn't think anything more of it. Then I get this one. Your bill's due soon. And I thought, well, the bill, how can my bill? It's like minus, you owe me money. And it says to make a payment, just log in. If you've got recurring payment set up, we didn't because we'd cancelled it, we'll take it in the usual way. Already paid, you can ignore this message. So I ignored it. But then I had another email come through and said there's an overdue balance on your 3 account. You have an overdue balance of this many pounds. Not the minus that they owed me that it indicated before, but that apparently that I owed them. So I got back on the phone, and clearly, you know, they previously told me ignore it if I'd already paid it or whatever. And I thought, well, you owe me money, so I'll just ignore that. But this then said I owed them money. So I got back on the phone and said, look, I've cancelled my contracts with you. You gave me the pack codes for 2 of the numbers and we left. I told you that I was cancelling all 3 contracts. We moved 2 numbers. So I think I know where they got confused, but it's their error, not mine. So I said, no, we cancelled all 3 numbers. And in fact, one of them was attached to my contract. So there should only really have been 2 contracts and 2 accounts. I think they opened the other one as a separate account, but it was supposed to be attached to one of them. So I think that's where they made the mistake, to be perfectly honest. But it's their mistake, not mine, because it was very clear that it should have been attached to my account and they should have cancelled all of them. That's where I think they made the mistake. But then they said, okay, no problem, we'll sort that out. So I said, now you're sure you're going to zero out this bill so that it doesn't try to take money, it doesn't tell me that I owe money, and it doesn't report to my credit report. I tried to make this clear, but as you can probably gather by the fact that I'm telling you the story in the first place, they did report it on my credit score. Now, this might not be the end of the world because I don't rely on my credit report, but I thought I'd do this video for you. I would fight it because I fight for justice like that because it's wrong, so I don't want it reported just because they made a mistake. But then I look at my credit report and it says this here. Helps if I bring it on screen. I saw this here. Payment history. You've recently missed a payment, which can seriously harm your credit score, which is an interesting point, which I'll come back to in a minute, because that's not necessarily true. This is not advice, by the way, but I'll show you why in a minute. But sure enough, it said, you've recently missed a payment. Now I thought, no, I'm not having that. Now, If you're wondering what this is, again, I promise you this is not a sponsored video. I would always tell you if it is, but I use totallymoney.com and it gives me free access to my credit report. It allows me to see things like this when they go wrong, and it allows you to raise a dispute. The one caveat before you go off and register with totallymoney.com, the one caveat I would give you is that they do bombard you with lots of things that might tempt you into taking credit cards, taking loans, and this sort of stuff. So just ignore those emails. Don't be tempted to take out more money just because you've signed up and they bombard you. You qualify for a card, you qualify for a card. In fact, I'll try and find a bit of a screenshot that shows you. In fact, you can see from this snippet here, they bombard you with emails and say, your borrowing power's gone up, stop paying interest. We've got a great credit card for you. You can pause interest, there's a low APR borrowing rate, etc., etc. So all these things, they do bombard you, so don't be bamboozled into thinking, this is great, I can borrow more money. I do not advocate borrowing more money, and that is not why I'm telling you about this here. But it does tell you when you've got new searches on your credit report. It does give you updates as to whether there's been a missed payment and all that sort of stuff. So that's all I use it for. I use it to check whether people are doing searches on my credit report, and I use it to dispute payments. And that's one of the points of this video. So you can do a dispute very easily, and you have to be very precise in how you word this thing. So on here, you can go into the payment, you can say, you click view more details, and then it shows this here. Something wrong with this information, raise a dispute. So I regret I didn't take a screenshot of the precise wording that I used, but I'll tell you the precise wording that I used, near enough at least. I explained the whole situation. I've cancelled the contracts with this company. I had a conversation. They told me that the final bill was coming out. The final bill said this amount. They owed me money. Then I received more bills. Then I contacted them. I told them that I'd cancelled the contracts. They agreed that I'd cancelled the contracts. They were going to nullify and revert the balance to zero. They obviously haven't done so. And regardless, they've reported a missed payment to my credit file, even though they've confirmed that they were zeroing out this balance. So the account should have a zero balance. I should not owe any money on it. I have not missed a payment on it. So you spell out all of those details quite clearly. A few days later, I then got this email, dispute successful. Thank you for your recent dispute on your credit report. Your dispute's been successful. We're now making arrangements for your credit report to be amended. In many cases, it will take a few days. However, allow up to 4 weeks to see the changes on the credit report. The supplier, Three's comments here, said the customer's credit file has been amended accordingly. Customers can call Three customer service for further information on the account. Now, as I say, I think it's a very simple mistake on their part, but that's not the point. They reported this. Now, if you were in the middle of a mortgage application or a loan application or a credit card application or whatever it might be, or even if you've got a credit card that's nearing its balance and you really rely on that, and you know, I have lots of videos on how to get out of debt and how to undo that mess and unravel that mess. But if you are in that position and you get a report like this, a negative report to say you've missed a payment, they might stop your credit limit. They might reduce your credit limit. They might, under their terms and conditions or whatever, they might ask that you repay the balance on the account or all sorts of stuff. And worse still, if credit cards are linked to your bank account, they might try to then take money from your bank account if there's a T's and C's that link those together. And I've known that happen before. But here's the really interesting thing. So despite the fact that they reported a missed payment, you can see from this screenshot here, quite clearly, I missed a payment, but also quite clearly, I'm using 0% of my credit usage. And this, for whatever reason, I don't really know how they calculate this, but it says that's a medium impact on my credit score. Although this is normally talking about using over 25%, clearly I'm using 0. The interesting thing here, and they also have me recorded, by the way, as residential status homeowner with no mortgage. But the interesting thing is the credit rating went up between April and May, up by 37 points. I don't really understand that because they recorded that I missed a payment. There's nothing else changed on there. There's no new accounts. There's obviously no balance reduced because I'm using 0 of any available balance, but the credit score went up even though they reported that I've missed a payment. So that's really bizarre. So I'm not saying missed payments and your credit score will go up. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is just bizarre. I don't understand it. I don't understand how this, clearly I don't understand how this works, because obviously it should go down. If you've missed a payment, you should be less reliable. And so the real query here is why the credit score's gone up when they reported a missed payment. Now, obviously they determine what you can borrow, etc., what accounts they give you based on your credit score. But how does that work if you've missed a payment and that's the only report on this file, really, that I've missed a payment, even though they are now correcting it, but they're taking time to correct it. Obviously, this was reported before the dispute was successful. So I'll be very interested to see what happens now in the next report for June, to see whether that goes up or down, having corrected the credit file. If it goes down, that will then show the pattern. It went up when I missed a payment and then comes down, if it does go down, when they correct the record. I find that really bizarre. But this video was just to tell you the story, for one, but also don't stand for these things. Go and dispute them if you think that they're wrong. Give them all the details, and they should correct the record. But let me know if anything like this has happened to you, because we've had clients at the firm who have had all sorts of problems like this. They've had incorrect things reported. They've had fraud reported. They've even had someone else's report entirely because they had the same name as somebody else. This just shows how rubbish this system is. They've had the same name as somebody else and it's reported to their credit file. And then it had all the details. They rang with the reference numbers. They spoke to a company and they said, this is not my account. This is not my loan. This is not my thing. And eventually they worked out, oh, sorry about that. That's not you. That's just someone that had the same name. Really bizarre stuff. Let me know if you've had the same thing. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel. We're here on my Money Wealth channel. Please do subscribe. It is growing very nicely. Thanks to you for watching, and I'll see you next time.